Hey guys, good afternoon. Glad you guys can join us today. As usual, under the Owner Circle, we are doing this series called Leading in Crisis. And we are bringing on board very key speakers every week, sometimes twice a week, to share with us what is needed at this current time to lead us through this time of crisis, our difficult times. We have had very, very key speakers across the last couple of weeks, from lawyers to accountants to even people that deals with mindset and even exercise regimes. So I wanted to just quickly thank you guys for coming on and for today's and to support our speaker for this afternoon. Right, I'm going to bring him on board in just a couple of seconds. Okay, let's get started so that we don't waste any time to listen to me. What's more important is my friend coming on next. Okay, so today we have with us a good friend of mine by the name of Keith Ng, right? And Keith has been in this business of gamification for the last probably more than 10 years, right? Keith is Singaporean, unfortunately. I had to throw that in, Keith, sorry. Yeah, but today is going to be a very casual conversation between me and Keith. As Keith likes to say, just a conversation among two brothers. And we're just going to talk and just learn why is gamification so important, especially during this time where we are all trying to innovate our business. We're trying to do something a bit different. And while we grew up a lot with playing possibly physical type games like baseball or basketball and everything, a lot of these things are going online, right? So I wanted to bring Keith on today in this next 45 minutes to 1 hour to really share his experience with us on how do we use gamification in our businesses, right? So, hey, Keith.
Hey, Raymond.
Hey, man.
Thanks for bringing me on board.
Hey, no problem.
I've never shown my bedroom to so many people in my life. So, and also, this is actually my first Facebook Live ever, right?
Oh, wow.
This is my virgin experience, right? And you have taken it.
Yes.
So thank you for inviting me.
Because in your bedroom, huh?
It's my bedroom, yeah. So you can see I cleared out the pillows and bolsters and everything, so it looks a bit more professional. But this is the best you can do for now, right? Singapore is going through a circuit breaker right now. You're still not calling it a lockdown yet. Tomato. Not sure what's the difference, but I hope that this could be really interesting. I'm looking forward to having a good conversation with you.
Yeah, awesome, man, Keith. So, guys, along this next 45 minutes to maximum an hour, will end at 4 o'clock. Please type in any questions that you have for Keith on the comments window, right? Keith has committed to answer everything. I mean, he's in his bedroom now. So how bare more can it be, right? So just go ahead and ask any questions that you guys want on the topic of gamify your business, and we'll help to see whether or not we can answer them. So I guess first couple of questions need to come from me, Keith. First one is, so why? So, how long? So I kind of mentioned that you've been doing this for 10 years or more, right? How did you get into this world of gamification?
Yeah, so thanks for asking the question. I've asked you to ask me right at the start. Yeah. So it's quite hazy, to be honest, right? So this has gone on for more than 10 years. I was just joking, we stopped counting when we hit the 10 years limit, right? And in fact, this t-shirt that you see right now over here, this is a leveling to 10/10. This is a 10 years limited edition t-shirt that we printed actually with a company in Malaysia, actually, Salty Custom.
Right? Salty, yes.
Yeah. And when we first started off in 2008, we started creating games, right? And even way before that, my co-founder and myself, Damon, we were involved in some projects, internship projects. One of them with a bank, Standard Chartered Bank, and we created a game for data mining. So after we developed that thing, right, we decided that once we graduate, we wanted to continue working on something similar. So right at the start, me and Damon started getting together. I guess one of the biggest agenda was still to continue to work together, right? We have been great friends in school. We scored a lot of great GPAs, right? Great project scores, but we wanted to still work together. And the other reason is I think both of us were not ready to join the corporate world yet, right? We just wanted to still have fun. So literally, we started a games company. And, in Singapore, we have a lot of funding schemes here and there, right? And that was 10 years ago, right? So I think that was the hook that actually got us in. It's like drugs, just that the government is giving you like some 50,000 Sing dollars, and slowly and painfully, we got more and more invested. So initially, it was really just for the purpose of really working together as friends and work on something that we think could be fun, right? We have no idea whether it will bring any business value. So we venture off to creating dating games. I think that one you do not know yet. Yeah, that one you do not know yet. Yeah. So we created games for dating, games for English Premier League, right? Predictions. And along the way, we realized that we couldn't monetize, right? So it's only after a good 3 or 4 years, we realized that, hey, we are still not generating enough revenue, right? Maybe it's time to actually really run a real business. So that's when we had the opportunity to look at some of the projects we are already working on for some clients. And there was this particular one that is called Live Game. And Live Game was a platform to allow people to earn points for doing different things like pull-ups, go travel, go makan, right? You earn points. And we decided to just buy the rights over that solution that we built for our client and make it to what it is today. So, and of course,
are you a game developer? Are you a game developer yourself?
I would say in the initial days we can be considered a game developer, right? I would say my role is more game designer, less so developer, right? But yeah, you can call us a game studio in the early days, in the first and second year of our life, in the corporate world or in the working life. So this is still my first job, actually, right? I only know one shit, and that's gamification throughout my whole entire corporate life or working life. Yeah, so along the way, right, we managed to secure some clients with some interest. To be fair, what you see today in Gametize, or what we do today, is a lot of what clients have been telling us to do. So we did not come out to where we are today without these clients or this market sensing or market pulsing.
But that is, in a way, kind of epitomize, in a business, we always say, right, it's really your business should be based on what your customer demands and not what you want to supply, right? And that is really how true business will work, right? It's really about what your customer needs and what your customer wants, right?
Yeah, we learned it the hard way, right? For the first 3 years, we thought that we could be Steve Jobs, right? Do something and the world will just buy it. It doesn't work that way. So in the formative years of our business, right, we struggled a lot. We almost went bankrupt, right? We started doing a lot of other things to keep ourselves alive. At the end of the day, right, nothing beats actually listening to your clients, right? We are not very well funded in that sense compared to many other startups today. All our fundings actually came from real life clients with recurring businesses. So that's one lesson that I learned a lot. That has helped us a lot. But it also helps that me and Damon are huge believers of gaming, right? So I was a compulsive gamer. I think I shared with you that story until you're already bored of listening. But I was hooked on gaming about 20 years back. 20 years back? Yeah, I think about 20 years back. And I didn't have to eat. I didn't have to drink. I was just locked in the room. So we know for sure how powerful gaming is, how addictive it can be. So we thought like, it could be good if we could put it to corporate world, right? To put it to some real life usage. So along the way, even though we started off wanting to create something for fun, literally, along the way, we realized that there's actually some real business value in what we are doing, and also some real life impact that can be done for society. For example, in the education side or non-for-profit aspect of things.
So that's a very good thing that you said. I want to dive in a little bit deeper now and go straight into this. So what you mentioned is gaming, right? And then we have now gamification. So what is the difference between playing games or gaming and gamification, which is I think is more from a business perspective?
Yeah. Okay, great question. Let's put it this way, right? What's your favorite game, Raymond?
Wow, I have not played games in a long time, but let's say Candy Crush.
Candy Crush. What do you like about it?
The fact that I get to complete a level and then go to the next level. and then I keep going up and scoring points and money that I possibly can never ever use to buy anything.
Okay.
But the fact that I can rack up that excites me, lah.
That's right. So it feels very much like a business, right? You're just leveling and racking up a lot of wealth, right? That makes you excited. Right, that's why you're running multiple businesses. So actually, your business are real life games in a way, if you think about it. Right, it's just that the losses are real. If it happens, the profits are also real. So see that way, right? The difference between games and gamification is like a lot of time games are in a simulated environment, and that's why I'm going to throw in another term right now. It's called serious gaming. So serious gaming is a terminology for a game environment. Let's say in the medical world, right? You go through a simulation to learn about doing certain surgeries. So that could be a very simulated 3D environment, right? And where a simulated behavior or action in the game will result in whether the person lives or dies. Likewise, serious gaming have been done in war gaming. So in army, in military, we do those kind of simulations, right? It's kind of like a World of Warcraft, except that this is in a better realm of real life army, and we do that a lot in Singapore's army as well, right? Hope I'm not revealing too much. Then we would actually call it serious gaming because it's a simulated environment. We know that nothing is going to come out of. There's not going to be any real world profits or real world losses as well, right? You can restart the game over and over again. You talk about Candy Crush as one of your favorite games. Now, to develop a game like Candy Crush, do you know how much investment you need to do, even if you were to do it from scratch right now?
I don't know. I'm going to say 100,000.
So I think a fair amount of estimation for a game like that these days, right? It typically starts from 500,000 USD.
Oh, wow.
Okay. Yeah. If you think about it, right, Candy Crush is a game that requires sound, music, copywriting, artwork, programmers, marketing, advertising, right? There's a lot of work involved. In fact, as we are speaking right now, my mom is next door playing Rumi Cup, which is another kind of like a mahjong kind of game, right?
Okay.
And she's been hooked on it in the past few days. And my mom is a Candy Crusher level 200, by the way. So one of the biggest compulsive gamers I know in life. And so these games are not cheap to build. And once you finish playing the game, right, the experience ends there. Now, gamification, on the other hand, let me give you one very simple example of gamification. In Singapore, we have this thing called National Steps Challenge, NSC, right? So it's really a massive wide campaign. Obviously, for good reasons, is temporarily on pause right now. But you see that in Singapore, for every step you take, you earn points, and the points allows you to get NTUC vouchers, grocery vouchers, and even giving you some cash in other ways as well, right? So that is an example of gamification, right? You see real life benefits right away, right? You get to lose calories, right? And with the calories you earned, right? You will also be able to, calories that you lost, you'll be able to earn some grocery shopping voucher. And of course, it builds a kind of intrinsic motivation for you to want to work out more once you like it, once the extrinsic motivation is worn off. So in a sense, I guess you can put the biggest, you can call the biggest difference between gamification and games in the fact that one, it has a much more perpetual effect, and that will be gamification, right?
Okay.
Games typically, last for a very short time, right? And it doesn't. Some games can be played forever, but most games, right? Yeah, actually, there's a time limit to it.
Okay. So from what I understand, what you're trying to say is, Keith, for any business that we do today, or rather, even if it's external to the public, so what you just mentioned is probably a public-facing gamification process, right? We try to create some form of games which relate back to what a user or a gamer, a player, if you want to call it, that can go through the games, which helps the business to generate leads. Is that a fair way to explain it?
Yeah. So really, the very first question in in every gamification campaign that we embark on is what problems are we solving for you? What is the problem that you're trying to solve, right? So without that question answered, it's really hard for me to advise what's the next steps you should be doing, what you should be using gamification for. So a lot of times, right, I have actually met up with CEOs. Some people do not even want to get into games, right? They say, Keith, I do not want my employees to have fun at work, right? And that's a true story. And because the moment they see my company's name card, it says games, they assume that we are a gaming studio, right? But the truth is that if you were to put me beside a game designer, right? I do not know whether you know any, right? If you were to be stuck in the same room, we have very little in common to talk about. I will have a lot to talk about with you, right? Because you come from a HR background as well, right? And a training background. But if you were to put me in a game designer, right? Game designers tend to see us more like a Alibaba, right? We steal their ideas, we steal their concept. So all this aspect about leveling up, about accumulating points that you can use to redeem something, right? This is all what we do a lot in gamification as well, right? And and you see that in games too. So games have the impact of creating a dopamine rush, and dopamine is what actually make humans more motivated to want to seek more of the same thing. Like Raymond, for you, what are some of the dopamine triggers for yourself?
Oh, exercise. For me, it's exercising. Yeah. I don't really watch much movies, so definitely exercise is one.
Right. Can you name some more examples how dopamine triggers can happen?
For me, can't think of some right now. Maybe even doing videos and stuff like that.
Yes. So dopamine generally makes people want to do the same thing again and again because people feel like they have grown or gotten better in it, right? That's why you see pianists and painters, they get stuck in this thing called the flow mode, right? In the flow state, they just completely go blind and deaf to everything that's around them. And that's what games do very well to people. Now, if you can deploy the same techniques to getting people to become a customer of yours, right? Through a series of conditioning or through a series of dopamine triggers, right? Then definitely that could be something that you could do for your business. Let me give you another example. So let's go back to problem statement. One of the problem statements that Gametize solved for one of our clients is cybersecurity training and awareness. Okay. And this is for a very major bank in Singapore. Right, it goes out to all the employees internally. And if you look at the current state of cybersecurity today, right, one of the biggest challenges is nobody is even motivated to want to learn about it, right? People are learning because they have no choice, right? It's through the compliance program or through something that they are forced to do so. But a lot of times, if you ask around your friends, ask them how many of them are actually on 2FA for their Facebook. Very few of them are. Whether or not it's Facebook or the Google, right? So so the problem statement comes in and it says that we need to help make the audience more engaged, right? They're simply not interested. And through this series of gamification campaign, right, we realized that just because you created a Flappy Birds for ransomware or Candy Crush to learn about Bitcoin, right? It's not going to make the whole experience any more interesting. What really matters here is you need to come up with, you need to kind of work backwards and think about, okay, what are the profiles of these individuals? What will motivate them to want to learn more, right? And that's a very big aspect of game design as well. And then think about the kind of emotions and the kind of behaviors you want them to be having. So in that particular campaign, one of the behaviors could be, for example, right, you could reward people for actually talking to someone else about cybersecurity. So let's say, Raymond, I come to you and I decided to talk to you about what's the biggest challenge in ransomware, why you should be wary of it, right? When I do that, I should earn points for that. Now, when I earn points for that, I start to level up and I start to get recognized. And along the way, maybe the biggest reward that I really want is I want to be able to join a boardroom meeting one day within this bank. So if you put that in the customer advocacy journey, right, businesses can definitely use the same approach to try to convert customers into advocates or convert customers into a retained and loyal customer.
Okay, cool. Let's see whether we can got some questions here. Okay, Sebastian and John Theo is asking, do you have any examples of what are easy games that is easy to implement and to drive engagement and sales?
Mm-hmm. I could actually
Or do you
do
have
screen
anything to
sharing.
show? Yeah, sure.
Yeah. Let me try that.
Yeah.
Okay, this is quite nervous. I want to make sure I'm sharing the right screen. Okay, just tell me you see a blue screen.
Okay, I see the
Yes.
screen. Everyone can see the
Yes.
screen. Yeah. Okay, good.
Great. Okay, so there's going to be a lot of shameless plug over here, right? Please forgive me for that. I really do not know of many other gamification platforms other than ours. But one of the resources that I would like to direct everyone to, right? Just go to cheatsheet.gametize.com, right? So in this cheatsheet.gametize.com, right, you will see that it's a one-stop hub for you to see a summary of Gametize and also all the examples of case studies and also template projects, demo projects that we have available over here. And we also have some videos examples as well. So I think that brings me to one of the takeaways I hope that the audience can have, right? Don't try to create everything from scratch, right? Steal your ideas, look at what other people are doing. There's really very little benefit in innovating when it comes to gamification, right? This is right. So
I agree.
this gamification at the end of the day, right? It's really a psychology flow, right? It's a psychology workflow design. So in this example, I'm going to show you, it's going to be a very simple one. Raymond, remind me again. The question is about sales conversion.
Yeah. So how do you drive more engagement in sales?
Okay, got it. All right. So in the example that I'm going to show right here, there's this particular one that says advocacy for consumers and electronics. So I'm going to go with this example. This is actually one of my favorite demo that I like to show, right? Some of you might recognize this logo. So I just want to clarify they are not our clients over here, right? So in this example over here, it really is a journey where you will go through a mission briefing, right? And when you go through the mission briefing, right, you will undergo kind of like a mission briefing acceptance. So I accept the mission, right? So I can see once I accept the mission that I want to be part of this customer advocacy journey, I immediately unlock the badge. Now this badge is it really feels quite cosmetic at this point of time, right? It really is to give a milestone check for everybody who's in this journey to know that, okay, I'm progressing, right? Now I want to go on to the next challenge. And you can see the next challenge is again is more information how you can further create an account, how can you get additional 100 points bonus. Now the next journey that I want to share is after that there's this particular quest called social media queues. So let me just bring it up. See, the very first challenge that I have over here is a post your product review, right? This is actually one of my favorite examples because I noticed that one of the biggest struggles a lot of business owners have is they do not have enough testimonial. They do not have enough references. And Raymond, you and me will agree that word of mouth is extremely important to our nature of business, right? So likewise for Gametize, right? We do incentivize our clients to do references for us, right? But we make it very clear, right? You don't have to come up with a positive review, right? Just come up with whatever review you have. Once you post a review, right, we will actually give you a T-shirt, right? That's actually one of the incentives that we have. And I think there's one particular audience in the group right here. I think it's Ren Yi from my Burger Lab, right? You know, so he does it very well, right? I talk a lot about Burger Labs on my Facebook, right? I'm a huge fan, even though it's not in Singapore, not even in JB, right? I have to go all the way to KL to eat it, but I'm sure that I will talk about them a lot. And fair enough, Ren Yi sent me a T-shirt, right, when I asked for one, right? Because I'm such a huge advocate. You see, these are very simple techniques of gamification. You don't even need a platform for that, a solution for that. Anyway, right over here, I'm going to do that. I'm going to post a review. I love the devices. very much. And I could share a photo, I could do whatever things. So once I do that, you can see right away I earn 10 points. Now, if I want to see what others are doing, I could look through a news feed, right, to see what others are doing. I can see people are cheating over here, right? And that was me before I was cheating. Right? Obviously, this is not a product review. This is a picture of a friend. So what happens over here is you could implement some kind of design where people will get additional points when they get additional votes as well, right? So that's again a very simple trick, right? So you can see that once I give a additional vote over here, right? If I refresh, this person should get a. Later on, I think what happens is I will get an additional point right here.
I see the +2 points that came on board just now.
Yeah. So I think in my game rules, I may not have set it up. Now I'm going to go to this particular challenge here, right? So what's the EV configuration? Again, if you're familiar with the product of gaming accessories, right? One of the profiles of these players is we really like to show off our gaming rigs. We like to make it colorful. We like to make it very beautiful. And when you do that kind of like picture sharing, right, it becomes very, very social. And so we encourage them to actually give the URL links to the Instagram account, right? And you get again into the leaderboards. And the very third challenge is if you do surveys, you earn additional points here. So you can see that along the way, right, you're actually earning points as a player as part of this VIP club. And when you do that, right, you feel ready maybe to move on to the next topic. So in this topic, right, what we have here is a referral business, right? So you could give a customer some referral codes, right? And tell them that when they come into the company or when they come into this game, right, they will earn an additional 10 points. So this is very basic. I'm not going to talk so much about this. But what you can see over here is this is not a typical loyalty program or customer advocacy program you see out there. Everything has a storyline. And I think that storyline, right, will make it very easy for the players to follow through your whole journey. So for example, it could be a digital passport concept, right? I imagine that if it's going to be My Burger Labs introducing a gamification campaign, right? It could be called a burger quest, right? And the quest is to eat all the burgers that that's available in the world. We have actually a campaign in Romania where there was a burger festival, and the whole event was actually gamified, where you actually had to go to every other booth to eat a different burger to earn a different points as well. So they just call it the Amazing Burger Race or something. You see, there's a storyline, there's a narrative, and that's very, very helpful and very, very important. Okay, I'm going to go on to.
So how long does it take, Keith, to develop a game like this? There's a question here. So how long does it take to develop a game that you just showed?
All of these things are just content, right? So if you were to come up with this, already have all this content, right? Putting it on your platform doesn't take more than 20 minutes. 20, 30 minutes. Yeah, it's really fast. So one of the things that we do a lot in Gametize is rather than come up with proposals for our clients, we actually do mock-up games for free. We find that to be much faster, right? So we typically doesn't take more than half an hour to 45 minutes to create a brand new mock-up.
Wow.
Yeah.
And does it take like what you said, $500,000 to do it?
No, it's completely free for the first 7 days. And after the 7 days, if you want to keep on the free plan, you're free to use it. Otherwise, you can upgrade it to $100 USD a month for 100 players, right? For 500 USD a month, you get unlimited number of players. So it is very cost effective, right? I would say that once you have the biggest cost will come from designing the content. That's the biggest challenge, right? So we can see that this other game over here is about voting for your favorite game. Again, this is where you can continue to engage your customers, or even before they become a customers, right? You're already engaging them with campaigns like that. And then you can come up with seasonal challenge, right? For example, snap a photo of yourself in front of a store. You could come up with prediction challenge, like which item is going to get a discount, and when individuals get the correct answer, they will get additional bonus points as well, right? But in reality, what's really happening over here is you're actually running a survey. You're actually running a survey.
Okay.
So I'm going to just answer yellow over here. You can see, so all of this setup is very straightforward. Maybe towards the end of the session, right, I can do a platform demo. But I would immediately recommend the audience to just try it out, and there's nothing to lose really.
Okay, cool. So we have a question here. Well, Rennie said that yes, he has such a quest on his app, his burger quest. Okay, we have a question here. What is this? Okay, I'm developing a website for a client to encourage vegetarian eaters. Right? One vegetarian meal equals 1 point. Total X number of points equals free 1 tree emoji. Is this considered a gamification?
One free emoji.
Oh, yeah.
Interesting.
Or how would you improve that?
Right. So I'm also trying to become a vegetarian myself. Right. I would say really you have to go back to again the good old problem statement, right? You need to think about what problem are you exactly trying to solve over here. Well, I can say it is considered gamification. The moment you start giving points, right? That's just a basic gamification. Whether or not it's good or bad, that's a different thing. Now, the objective of gamification must lead to solving a problem statement. So maybe a problem statement over here is that the vegetarians are the people who wants to be vegetarian are still not adhering to the lifestyle yet, right? So how do you want to motivate them to continue eating vegetarian? Then you realize that once you do a survey group or focus group, you realize that maybe the reason is because their friends are not vegetarians yet, right? So maybe some of the challenges would be challenge your friends to be a vegetarian for today, right? And when you do that, you earn points. So that's when it becomes more intrinsic and more meaningful, rather than you just giving points for people to just eat vegetarian, right? You give them points also because they're advocating for it. You give them points also because they are spreading content, they're generating content for you. And even better, right, they are actually answering some quizzes to get more equipped with good knowledge. For example, eating vegetarian is you got to reduce a lot of maybe some health issues, right? Well, some of the health issues you can avoid if you choose not to eat meat. So I think that is my recommendation, right? Come up with something more wholesome.
I think I like what you just said, because if you're just giving points to a vegetarian to eat a vegetarian meal, you are essentially just preaching to the choir, right? You are just giving points for somebody who's already a vegetarian, and that's why a lot of us we don't get that reach, right? We don't get more than whatever is our regular customers. So I think what you're saying is that when you are creating a gamification process, look at what you are trying to solve. And what you're trying to solve is to create more customers, more reach. So use the existing people that are already your buyers, and then create a game to basically get them to reach to their friends and other buyers. I like the idea, man.
Yeah.
Cool.
And if I may add, right, sometimes you don't have to cater out to your entire audience, right? You don't have to go up to 100% of the audience. Would I be able to share my screen? I want to show a particular slide over here. So this is how we do profiling, right? How we understand our different players. And this is a Richard Butter players type framework. It is a very academically driven framework. Now, Ray, I have a question for you over here.
Okay.
Right. So which do you believe is the biggest group of players among these 4 types?
So we have killer
in video games.
Video games, huh? Focus on winning rank. Socializers are focused on socializing. Achievers are focused on attaining status and achievement. Explorers are focused on exploring and to discover a unicorn. I would say either killer or achievers, and I'm going to say achievers.
Achievers. Okay, which do you believe is the smallest group?
I would say socializers.
Okay, so one of the groups here is 1% and the other group is 80%. Yeah.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
The socializers are 80%.
Socializers are 80%.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Okay. Okay. Interesting.
80%, right? And the killers are the 1%.
Okay.
In fact, most people are not competitive in games when they play games. So that's the biggest stereotype that we all have about gamers, right? And a lot of times, right, when I do gamification campaigns, from the onset, the company or brand would say, oh, we want to make sure that the game has a leaderboard, has competitions, right? However, right, I will always remind them, right, not only 1% of video gamers are actually competitive, right? A lot of people actually are looking for socializing experience. Achievers is about 10%,
Okay.
and Explorer is about 10%,
Mm.
right? Now, I'm going to ask you the next question. Don't be stressed, huh? I know it must be quite stressful by now.
I'll just divert it to the audience.
Okay. Now, why do game studios still design games for killers, even though it's just 1%?
Okay, so what you're saying is that based on these stats, killers only make up 1% of the population. But why are game studios developing games for killers? What do you guys think, man?
To be competitive.
To be competitive, yeah. What do you guys think? Please answer in the comments window. Why do game developers still create games for killers?
Still focus on competitive players.
Yeah, on competitive players. What do you guys think?
Okay, we'll run this for another 10 seconds before I watch the answer. So I had I was very lucky to be in a live session like this with Richard Butter. I was one of the audience, and I asked the question, right? Why do we care about that 1%, right? It's such a small population. Now, Richard Butter is a game. His academics research is in gaming, not so much gamification. But I find this framework to be very, very helpful, right? So, okay, we have some answers over here, right?
Yep.
And the winner goes to CJ Lee. They spend the most, right? So at the end of the day, right, game studios are also businesses. I think a lot of people forget that, right? Game studios don't just exist to create games for your entertainment, right? They need to make a lot of money. So that 1% can contribute up to 80% of the revenue. Very powerful group of 1%.
I see. Yeah? Okay.
And so I see a lot of questions, a lot of answers over there. That 1% is very loyal. Once they go in, they can never get out. It's a market that's very sticky. End of the day, it's a market that accounts for a huge percentage of the revenues. So this brings me back to the gamification topic, right? When you do your profiling, sometimes you realize that you do not need to cater to the full 80% of socializers, right? You can just focus on that 1% of your biggest customers advocate, right? For example, right? I always like to joke with the Lazada folks. You know, if they introduce gamification, right, and they would create a campaign for myself and the 1% of a very loyal customers. I'm a huge fan of Lazada, right? I like to talk about them a lot because I get very reliable service from them. And I tell them that if you were to create a campaign where I can earn points every time I share about you on Facebook, I will spam the hell out of my friends. I will do that all the time, right? And just make sure that eventually the points that are accrued will allow me to meet Jack Ma from Alibaba, who owns Lazada. And this is a reward that money cannot buy. So always think about rewards that money can't buy, right? And back to the audience that asked about vegetarian gamification, right? How do you make a game for them? Think about the idea where, you know, you're not just giving them a free meal for the points they redeem, right? Perhaps with the points they redeem, they're able to have lunch with the CEO. They're able to have the chance to design a menu or get a menu named after them, right? So that, you know, they can brag about that. That 1% of the elites will care about such recognition. We call them SAP, right? Status, access, power.
Status, access, power. Okay, love it, man.
Yeah, rewards that money can buy.
Rewards that money can buy. Okay, awesome. Okay, so a question here is, okay, this is a technical question. Does this integrate with WordPress websites?
Our solution allows it to be embedded. We are working on doing the embedding, but I believe there are other gamification plugins that allow to do integration of gaming with WordPress as well.
Okay.
We are integrating with other tools, right? At this point in time, WordPress is something that we are working on.
Okay. Okay, so yeah, I have a question here, which is so whenever we mention the word game or gamification now, a lot of us relate it to games, right? Is it just for the younger crowd? Right? Is it just that only millennials will if our business is for millennials, then we can think about this. If our business is not for millennials, or if we have older people working in the office, forget about games. Is that true?
So I think I just kind of gave it away just now, right? My mom is really one of the biggest compulsive gamers I know in my life. And you know, my dinners and lunch timing has been very, really bad because my mom is so busy playing the game. Rumi Cup, right? It's an excellent game, by the way. Go check it out.
What game is that?
And Rumi Cup,
Rumi Cup. Okay.
RUMMIKUB, right? It's
Okay.
very addictive, very mentally stimulating. Now, I don't believe there's a age group for gamers, right? Everyone loves to play, whether or not you're young or you're old. It's really a matter of priorities in life, right? That we don't have time to play games. But we all love to play games, right? So whether or not it's a real life game, like, you know, Raymond, you building a business, that's a game to you, right? I'm sure, right? Or spending time on Rumi Cup and Candy Crush. So in fact, I would even take it further and say that millennialism, right, is actually not targeting a specific demographic, but it's a psychographic, right? My mom could be a millennial, right? You could be a millennial, right? Anyone could be a millennial. So I think what's really more important is to understand your target audience motivation. And that's very important. Why do they care about this problem statement you're solving? Why do they want to be part of the campaign, right? And what do they want to get out of it? For me, that's the bigger question.
Yeah, so that's a very good summary, and it's for all our audience here today. So before we actually think of gamification, first we got to understand our target market, pick the exact target market that we want to do the game for. Then second, right, is to understand what is the problem statement. What are we solving for that target market, right, Keith? What are we solving for that target market? And then only build what is it that we want to drive of the business, and then what do we build with regards to games with all the 3 steps that we just thought about. Okay.
Yeah. I guess at the end of this call, right, I could actually send out a summary of what we covered today, some of the resources, right?
Yeah.
But I think nothing beats actually doing testing, right? Just take a pen and paper, start designing your concept on even Google Slides or PowerPoint, or even start using Gametize.com to create your very first game. Do a lot of testing, then you will know your target audience better as well. See whether how they react to it.
Yeah. Is that part of a framework that you have, Keith?
Yes.
Do you have some kind of framework? So if any one of us here wants to get started tomorrow, what is the steps?
Right. So I'm going to try to put up let me see. I'm going to type in the link, corp.gametize.com/scorecard. Right. You can see it over here as well. Okay. So this is the framework that we use a lot. We call this a 5D framework, right? Really, you can use this framework for every aspect of life, right? Defining a problem, right? Determining what's the objective. But the part that I really want to talk about is spend some time to talk about is deciding the target behaviors and emotions. So if you're familiar with design thinking, right? A lot of times it's really hard to just think of come up with a campaign from top down. And sometimes you have to come up from down top as well. So once you define the problem statement, you can see these are just some of the examples. Nobody is talking about my brand. A lot of money is spent on advertising. They have loyal customers, but they aren't talking about us, right? So once you come up with this problem statement, you will need to come up with some targets. For example, there needs to be 1,000 mentions of my brand on social media on a daily basis. So that's when you come up with goals, right? And then you go out to deciding your target behaviors and emotions, right? So you kind of work backwards and think, how do I get people to be mentioning my brand on social media 1,000 times, right? So one example is you encourage customers to post reviews, whether they're good or bad, right? You encourage people to learn about the product through the quizzes that you're giving them, right? And through the quizzes, they actually engage with your brand, right? That's why they feel like they understand, they want to post reviews about a product. Maybe through some of the stories that you share on Facebook, you mentioned that, my brand really needs all the help I can, right? And you are my VIP champions, right? I need your help. And then you think about the target emotions, right? What are the kind of things that you want people to be thinking and saying when they're using the campaign? So I could actually improve some other people's lives, or this company makes me feel very exclusive and very recognized. So when you come up with this kind of target emotions and behaviors, then it's really a lot easier for you to think about, what kind of challenges can I put out here? What kind of narrative and storyline and rewards I can put out here in this campaign. And then this comes the fourth part of the profiling. So after you do on the player, you do your player type profiling. You think about what are the lifestyle habits of this player, right? Does Ray, go to Instagram to stalk people every day, or does he always look for free coffee, right? And join lucky draws, right? So then also to come up with all this profiling, right? Then comes the last step, right? We call it the gamification strategy design. That's when you come up with the narratives, the storylines, the visuals. And a lot of times these are things that already exist in your company already. For example, in Gametize, right, the narrative is that we are all ninjas, right? We are able to fulfill our role by becoming very agile. For some companies that I've seen that we are done for example, Samsung in Malaysia, right? The narrative was more like a superhero storyline, right? All the salespeople are kind of like heroes in their own, where they learn about Samsung phones through the platform. And with that, we have this thing called a scorecard, right? You are actually able to give yourself some kind of point system, right? Answer all these questions, right? How clear are the objectives? How attractive are the rewards, right? Will there be fresh challenges roll out on a daily basis? And then how clear are the feedbacks, right? How frequent are the feedbacks in the game, right? So once you run through this framework, right, of course, the goal is for you to reiterate this again and again, right? So it doesn't go just one direction, right? It goes in two directions as well.
Okay, awesome. Okay, if you guys have any more questions, please type it in the comment window. We have about 10 minutes left with Keith. So we've also posted the link that he just shared on the framework. You guys can check it out as well. Okay, I have a couple of questions more if I have no questions on the comment window yet. So Keith, one question I have is here. So, what famous brands like Lazada or Shopee from an e-commerce perspective, or QO10, what do they do? What have they done with regards to gamification?
Right. So that's actually a question from Hazel, right? It's a personal friend.
Yes. From Hazel Ang.
Yeah. Hey Hazel. So I first tried out Q10 about maybe 5 years ago, right? And if I'm not sure whether it's big in Malaysia, Q10.
Not as big as Lazada or Shopee.
Right. So if I may get control of the screen, right, I already maybe pull up like Q10 already. Yeah. So I'm going to get my first point over here, right? By checking in, I'm going to get my first Q ticket. And once I got a Q ticket, I got to spin the wheel. I'm pretty sure that I'm not going to win anything else other than more points over here, right? I've never been able to get the coupons my entire life by spinning this wheel over here, right? So once I got the point over here, I got the additional points. This is where I kind of got a bit lost. Even though I've been here for 5 years already, I have still no idea what do I do with the points here, right? And so they have multi-currencies here as well. So this is an example of e-commerce that is over gamified, in my opinion. Over gamified. There's just one or two. Now, if you play some games, right, there's one single currency or dual currency, but and you can code with maybe two different currencies in the game. But in this particular gamification campaign, there are 3 different currencies: coupon, points, and monsters over here, right? And there's also Q coins over here. Very, very complicated. Now, but there's a very, very good reason why this gamification campaign is so complex. Do you know why, Raymond?
No. Why does it need to be so complex?
It caters to that 1%.
Okay.
Where for them, they are the killers, they're competitive, right? For them, frustration is a kind of fun, right? So, and
Suckers
this
for torture.
So it's like Rubik's Cube, right? Rubik's Cube is a classic example of why frustration can be a kind of fun. So for me, this is like the Rubik's Cube of e-commerce, right? To me, it's over gamified. It is completely focused on that 1% of the audience who is generating a lot of revenue for them. That's why years after years, right, they don't see the need to take this down. They don't even see the need to improve the whole user experience here. And that's, by the way, spin the wheel, I wouldn't consider it gamification.
You wouldn't call it gamification?
Yeah, it's just game. It's just gamification.
It's just a game, lah. Okay.
It's a gimmick.
Gimmick.
Right? Gamification.
Okay. Rennie is asking. So other than external, what about for internal, for HR purposes? How
Okay,
can
great.
we do gamification for HR?
Okay, let me get the screen. Let me load up the guide over here. So we have some examples for demos, right? How you can do onboarding, but I have one particular one here. Maybe I will talk about code of conduct, right? Compliance, right? That's a kind of it's a very dry topic, and I'm sure all business owners tend to place this on the last priority, especially your SME. But the good news is code of conduct can be gamified, right? So the very first step I would say is when you do gamification for HR campaigns, right? You should think about making it very. By the way, this is mobile responsive, our site, so you can always load it on web and mobile, right? And we also have a mobile application. So when I come into the academy, right, the very first step is you see these are all the different flashcards. So you see, I think one of the questions from the floor is you notice that there's a lot of text, there's a lot of words inside here. The good news is, right, you can actually introduce GIFs inside here to make it more animated, to make it more interesting. In fact, you could actually embed videos or even other kind of mini games inside here if you want to. Like it could be a fortune cookie game, or it could be a whack-a-mole game, right? You could embed it over here. But I don't think that's very important, right? End of the day, the key objective is to get people to learn about things, right? So when they learn about it through a flashcard over here, right? Later on, what you can do and introduce is you can introduce quizzes here, right? So these quizzes can be done on a daily basis, or can be done on a weekly basis, or just one-time basis. In this particular game over here, it really is a storyline called the 50 Cases of Grey, right? So it's about gray cases where you really have to think about the answer. So the very first question here is CEO's challenge, right? Vendor invites me for a cup of coffee, right? Should I stop him or should I accept this trick? So this is not really a quiz, but it's an open-ended question where everyone will be able to answer it, right? I would say I will accept because I love coffee. So once I earn the points here, right, the audience or anyone else in the game could kind of come into here to like the comment, or they could comment and say, I agree with this. So probably when I vote on his answer later on, he could add additional points, right? So that's a very simple way to do internal engagement. The next thing is you could actually come up with quizzes. So I'm going to show you the quiz right now. You realize from the shipping information, okay, this is a case about a mysterious package, right? So you can see the storyline over here, right? You head out to lunch, you saw a package package that is shipped to someone in the company, right? So what will you do, right, with the package? So the answer is
go for lunch.
Go for lunch. Yeah, that would be my answer, right? So you can see there's no right or wrong at this stage of time. It's still a survey. The next question is going to be a quiz over here, kind of like quiz, like open-ended question, right? You bump into John, right? You told him that it's wrong to ship personal items, right? He asks you why. It's in the code of conduct section. The answer is 4.1. Right. So you can see the moment I do that, I get to unlock a badge over here. So these are ways again to help your employees to learn about certain things and make the whole journey a lot more interactive and engaging as well. Someone asked the question, I see you using Lego images, is that legal, right? All our images that I've shown over here, they are all from a website called Pizza Bay, right? So again, this is another tip I have for you, right? Use only royalty-free images that are legal, right? So you can type for Lego here. All the images here are completely free of charge to use. So I will recommend that. Right? Yep. Really, so we have more examples that I would recommend you to look at inside the cheat sheet. In fact, we have one client in Malaysia that's also using us, T-Life actually, right? They are using us for internal engagement. So and I've seen that they're doing quite a lot of internal training using our application. But there are other examples that I will just show really quickly in the cheat sheet that you should be looking at. For example, I have one over here called the onboarding. Yeah, this is an onboarding project. And this is a landing page. So this particular project actually is about the Start Win group, right? And so we have values in one topic. We have meet the leaders. So this is where you kind of put in all the different leaders in the game, and you can ask questions about them as well. For example, for COO John Tan, right? Can you guess how many followers he has on YouTube, right?
Mhm.
So these are ways that make it easier for your audience to get to know your leaders in the company, right? But putting some fun fact over here, I'm going to answer 1,000 followers, right? And the answer is wrong. Yes, 100,000 followers. But don't worry, they're still giving you 5 points, even though you got it wrong, right? Just as a way to encourage you, right? And you still get the superstar badge as well.
Okay, interesting. So we have a couple of minutes left, and I want to make sure that I respect everyone's time. If there's any questions, okay. So there's a question here, which is well, two questions here. I'm not sure whether you know this. One question is: I understand from clients that games in Malaysia are sensitive. They need approval from departments or halal games because winning games like gambling, especially spin and win. Do you know anything? Because you have clients in Malaysia, right?
Yeah.
You know anything
So
about?
this is exactly why we don't have spin the wheel in all our games as well, right? I just don't believe in it at all, right? I don't believe people will be learning by spinning the wheel, anything, or your customers will become loyal to you just because they're spinning the wheel. They're loyal to you because you engage them through your content, not through the spin the wheel. So we don't have spin the wheel. In fact, if you were to submit any games to the Apple Store, right, they have very strict guidelines. Anything that looks like gambling or having the connotations of winning something, right, you have to be very, very careful, right? So I hope that answered the question as well. We do have quite a lot of Malaysian clients.
Yeah. We were talking about this, right? I asked you this question earlier, right? Keith, banks, right? I see a lot of banks now that's having games, right? Is that gamification? What's your opinion on that? Is that something that they're doing well?
So for very short burst campaigns, right, if they just want to introduce a game to just engage the target audience, right, to me, that's not gamification, right? Because what can they do with the points they earn in this game, right? I'm not exactly sure. Secondly, right, if a target audience really wants to play games, they will not be playing a game in a bank. I can guarantee you that there's so many fantastic games in the world, right? Candy Crush yourself, right? Rumi Cup, or and today I think there's more than probably 100,000 games in the App Store, right? So it's really hard to go around everywhere. Why would they come to your company to play the game that you have white label or templatized? It's very unlikely.
Okay, we'll take the last question for today because it's almost 4 from CJ. So CJ, this is your since you won the question earlier, so we get to answer your question. How can speakers and trainers add gamification to their webinars? Any ideas you foresee will be popular?
So if it's a very interactive and engaging trainer like yourself, Raymond, right?
Oh, thank you.
There's not much the gamification you need to do, right? There's no problem to be done, right? However, right, one of the biggest challenges I see in training is the pre-engagement and the post-engagement, right? So what's going to happen after this webinar that we are doing right now is only 30% of things that we mentioned here will be retained by our audience right now, right? They will only remember 30%. So to my audience, right, if there's only one thing I want you to remember, gamification equals happyfication. It's all about creating the happiness for your target audience, right? Right. Just keep that in mind. Now, if I want to retain you much further, right, I would probably create some kind of like a game campaign where you'll be able to earn points for asking the right questions. So I think Ren Yi and CJ will be earning a lot of points over here. And I want you to retain the knowledge, so I'll make sure that I'll put up some of them with quizzes, right? And people love stats, people love trivia, so I'll make sure that it could be something that's fun to learn. For example, all the quizzes I've shared with you just now about the player types, right? Those are interesting questions. We could put that into the pre-engagement or post-engagement campaign. And of course, there must be a button to say, sign me up, so allow me to be contacted to do some selling to me.
Okay, Keith, so I guess the final thing I wanted to ask you is that for all our audiences that's listening today, right? For those of you who want to try out, can we do, so we agreed on this, we'll do something for them. You wanna share what benefits they are going to get by listening through this 1 hour?
Yes. So this is my reward for everyone that's still on
Listening
this
to
session,
our crap.
still listening. Yeah. We have prepared a coupon code, right? So please look at the screen right here. Right. So must do what they always do on TV, right?
Yes,
And
yes.
so this is a coupon code that we created literally 2 minutes before we started this session, right? Sponsor owner circle, right? So it allows you to use the platform for free for an additional 1 month after the first 7 days for free. Now, keep in mind that Gametize.com is, after all, a business, right? But if you want to use it for free, after that, there's a free plan. Otherwise, right, if you feel like upgrading along the way after that 1 month, feel free to contact me, right? I'll see what I can do. But for that 1 month at least, you have the guarantee that you can use it for free. And Gametize.com is a very easy to use solution, right? We have been working on that for the past 7 or 8 years already. And if you would like some platform walkthrough, right, feel free to just ping me, right? Or maybe Raymond and me can arrange for something, right? Just for your target audience, just for your fans of you, Raymond.
Fans of me. Wow, so sweet, are you? Okay, so that's it, guys. Thanks so much for joining us. I hope you guys had some nuggets from today. And really, if I were to sum it up, I think gamification, especially when we're all trying to innovate our businesses today, right? We really need to think out of the box. And one of the things that if we have never thought of it before is really how do we introduce this process of gamification into our businesses to drive more traffic and sales? And one of the things that Keith has mentioned earlier, right, is first of all, understand the target market. Whether it's a 5-year-old or a 15-year-old or a 25 or a 50-year-old, they may need to have different ways to play the game. So understand that, then find out what is the problem that they have or what is the problem that you can solve for them. Then from there, then go into actually doing designing the game for that particular target market and that particular problem. And once you design the game, then you can go into actually developing that game, right? So did I sum it up fairly correct, Keith?
And do shitloads of testing.
Do shitloads of testing. Okay.
Yep.
Okay. All right, guys. Thank you so much. Thanks so much, Keith, for coming on from your bedroom with me today.
Thank you, Raymond. This was fun.
Yeah. We now have we feel that we are all in your bedroom now. We have a very big private insight into your daily life and what you do in your bedroom.
Yes, I would love to share more private insights in future. And thank you, the audience, for some great questions over here. You know, we didn't manage to ask 80% of all the questions we have prepared for today's session. So
Yeah.
thank you for making us feel like we're not alone in this.
Yeah. All right. Thanks, Keith. All right. Thank you guys for joining us. Do join us again. We'll have a couple of more speakers that's coming on next week to help us lead in through crisis. And I will join you guys again next week. Thank you. Bye-bye.